Hey, y'all. I've been going back and forth in my head about the idea that the United States should ban TikTok. Um, and I guess that would be by means of making it impossible to download from the App Store or from Google Play. And I guess finding a way to block the IP address so most people wouldn't have access to it. My other guess would be, and correct me if I'm incorrect in my thinking about this, because I'm sure you will. Um, People would still be able to get around it, just like Netflix, using VPNs and whatever. Well, that seems to be a lot of trouble, but especially for what you got. Um, I just spent like 3 minutes scrolling my For You page. The the redeemableness, sorry, of TikTok is at least debatable. There seems to be very few redeemable qualities about the First Amendment conversations that are going on here. Although the quality of the conversations doesn't have anything to do with people's First Amendment rights, and it would be a First Amendment issue because it'd be the government deciding on a venue by which, I guess, people would be able to speak. Now, people would still be able to say the very same things on other platforms, I guess. Do the very same stuff if the platform, allows it. The very same things on Instagram Lives. The very same thing in Snapchat, I guess, or the very same thing in any number of platforms that allow people to sign on and talk and that kind of stuff. And my thought would be that, the day that the government pull the switch, FCC, and I'm guessing that's who would do it, pull the switch to shut off TikTok, so to speak, somebody else would be ready to go. Some American company or some Chinese shell company based here in the United States would be ready at that very moment to pull the switch. And it'd be the same mess. If you, for whatever reason, have TikTok on your phone, go ahead and spend 3 minutes scrolling through your For You page and see if you can find any redeeming qualities that somehow need saving. I thought that Twitter was a dumpster fire. And it kind of is still. It's a little less stinky than it was, a number of years ago. But what a horrific, just horrific dumpster fire is TikTok. It really is. And that's its its problem. I'm ambivalent. I'm completely ambivalent. If I understand the problem with I get it. I understand the problem with the government deciding that a particular platform need not exist or people need not have access to it. But unfortunately, we have dealt with that very same thing for a long time. That for whatever reason, the government decides that the public shouldn't have access to this or that, um, or there is a prohibition to a certain thing for the common good, right? But at the same time, this is why you need a mature electorate. There are things that are generally not good, that are generally very bad for people. And we need some guidance sometimes. And usually, I think that guidance shouldn't necessarily come from government, but that guidance should at least come from each other, which is why I'm doing this video. Avoid that. Truly, just avoid that. That TikTok thing, just avoid it. It's awful, and I imagine that if the TikTok that I've seen, and I've got 7,000 followers on TikTok, so I've been on TikTok for a minute. Not as many as some people, but it seems like I've got a pretty good idea. But if you start scrolling through your For You page at like 2 a.m, the kind of deviancy you see that your children have easy access to, maybe you wouldn't support it as much. And maybe what bothers me, I think, more than anything else is that, just like always, people on the right will be against something, but never support the alternative. Which is why you have MSNBC and CNN and doing what they're doing. This is why you have Facebook and Twitter and all these other social media platforms doing whatever they wanted to do, or doing whatever they want to do to Christians, and doing whatever they want to do to people who are on the right or Republicans or whatever. All these things, when year after year, especially in the late 90s and in the early 2000s, there was attempt after attempt to create a conservative alternative to social media. And we're still talking about Twitter, X, or we're still talking about Facebook, Meta. We're still talking about Instagram. We're still talking about Snapchat. We're still talking about the very same platforms, because conservatives and Christians didn't support anything new. They didn't support, you didn't support the alternative. So now it's played out to its natural place at this point, and I don't believe it's a conclusion, unfortunately, that now that we have TikTok. I say this all the time. We end up in these positions because people refuse to do their work. Now, I'll tell you, YouTube isn't a whole lot better. But we end up in these situations because we refuse to do our work. We just refuse. We want somebody else to do it for us. And it makes us the very same as the left. We want government, the federal government especially, to come in and to protect us from ourselves. Are we any different? Are we any better? Well, on both of those counts, we need to be. My name is Willie Lawson. I am the host of the Morning Report on fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. Until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.